video opens with a powerful, fast-paced montage. We see quick cuts of iconic presidential moments. Washington crossing the Delaware, Lincoln at Gettysburg, FDR delivering a fireside chat, Kennedy's inauguration, Reagan at the Berlin Wall. Uplifting cinematic music builds in the background. From the crucible of revolution to the digital frontier, the United States has been shaped by the hands of its leaders. The presidency, an office of immense power and profound responsibility, has been held by individuals who faced the nation's greatest trials and guided it toward its brightest triumphs. These are not just men of history. They are the architects of the American story whose decisions have echoed through generations. Today, we journey through time to honor a legacy of leadership, exploring the 10 presidents whose impact has forever defined the course of the nation and the world. Our story begins with the indispensable man, George Washington. He was more than just the first president, he was the precedent. With every action, Washington established the traditions and fortified the integrity of the office, turning a concept on paper into a functioning reality. He voluntarily stepped down after 2 terms, ensuring the peaceful transfer of power that remains the bedrock of American democracy. His leadership laid the foundation upon which the entire nation would be built. Next, we look to the visionary architect of liberty, Thomas Jefferson. A scholar and a statesman, Jefferson doubled the size of the young country with the audacious Louisiana Purchase in 1803. This single act of diplomacy opened a vast continent to exploration and settlement, fueling the spirit of westward expansion and fundamentally shaping the nation's destiny for centuries to come. His vision was of an empire of liberty stretching from sea to shining sea. In the nation's darkest hour, one man stood to preserve it, Abraham Lincoln. Confronted with a country torn apart by the Civil War, Lincoln's unwavering resolve and moral clarity guided the Union to victory. His Emancipation Proclamation was a monumental step toward ending the scourge of slavery, and his timeless words at Gettysburg redefined the very meaning of the American experiment, ensuring that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. At the turn of the 20th century, a force of nature entered the White House, Theodore Roosevelt. A true progressive, he championed the common man against the unchecked power of massive corporations, earning the name Trust Buster. A passionate naturalist, he also established the U.S. Forest Service and created countless national parks and monuments, preserving America's natural wonders for all future generations. A generation later, his cousin, Franklin D. Roosevelt, would face 2 of the greatest crises in history. FDR's New Deal programs offered hope and relief to millions during the Great Depression, fundamentally reshaping the relationship between the government and its citizens. He then led the nation with steadfast determination through the crucible of World War II, helping to forge the Allied victory that secured freedom across the globe. Taking the reins at the end of that war was Harry S. Truman. He made the momentous decision to use atomic weapons to end the conflict, and then navigated the treacherous opening moves of the Cold War, establishing the Truman Doctrine to contain the spread of communism and helping to rebuild a war-torn Europe with the Marshall Plan. Following him, General Dwight D. Eisenhower brought a sense of calm and prosperity to the 1950s. His most enduring domestic achievement was the creation of the Interstate Highway System, a monumental public works project that transformed American commerce, travel, and culture, connecting the nation like never before. The 1960s began with the soaring optimism of John F. Kennedy. His inaugural call to ask not what your country can do for you inspired a generation. He challenged America to reach for the heavens, setting the nation on a course to land a man on the moon and winning a crucial leg of the space race, symbolizing the power of human ingenuity. After Kennedy's tragic death, Lyndon B. Johnson harnessed his formidable political will to pass landmark legislation. He championed the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, historic laws that broke down the barriers of segregation and moved the nation dramatically closer to its promise of equality for all citizens. Finally, we arrive at Ronald Reagan, who took office with a message of renewed optimism. His assertive foreign policy and economic vision are credited with hastening the end of the Cold War. His famous challenge to tear down this wall at the Brandenburg Gate became a rallying cry for freedom that culminated in the collapse of the Soviet Union. Video shifts to a concluding montage. Slow-motion shots of the American flag waving, diverse American faces and silhouettes of the presidential monuments at sunset. The music becomes reflective and hopeful. From Washington's foundational principles to Reagan's Cold War conclusion, these 10 leaders represent more than just moments in time. They embody the challenges, sacrifices, and aspirations of the American people. Their legacies are woven into the very fabric of the nation, in its laws, its lands, and its enduring pursuit of a more perfect union. They remind us that leadership matters, and that the course of history can be steered by courage, vision, and an unwavering belief in the promise of tomorrow. From the dawn of a new world to the digital age, America's story is one of relentless change and unwavering ideals. It's a tale etched in the courage of explorers, the wisdom of leaders, and the enduring spirit of its people. This is a journey through the moments that forged a nation, a testament to the struggles and triumphs that define the American experience. Our journey begins in 1492, a time of wooden ships and iron wills, when the known world was poised on the brink of expansion. Under the banner of the Spanish crown, Christopher Columbus and his crew sailed west into the vast uncharted Atlantic. Their arrival in the Americas was not merely a discovery, it was a collision of worlds, an event that redrew the maps and set in motion a profound and often turbulent exchange of cultures, ideas, and destinies. This pivotal encounter marked the genesis of a new era, forever linking the continents and planting the first seeds of what would eventually become a new nation on a land rich with ancient civilizations. The Age of Discovery had begun, and the course of human history was irrevocably altered. Centuries later, the spirit of a new identity took root in the 13 colonies. By 1775, cries for liberty from British rule echoed from Boston to Charleston, sparking the flames of the American Revolution. At the heart of this struggle stood George Washington, a Virginia planter turned commander-in-chief of the fledgling Continental Army. Through the brutal winter at Valley Forge and the decisive victory at Yorktown, Washington's steadfast leadership held the fragile rebellion together. He was more than a general. He was the indispensable man, the symbol of resilience who guided a collection of disparate colonies toward a united, independent future, laying the groundwork for a government of the people, by the people. Less than a century later, the nation faced its greatest existential threat, the Civil War. The Union forged in revolution was tearing itself apart over the issue of slavery. In 1863, amidst the lingering sorrow of a bloody battle, President Abraham Lincoln stood on the consecrated ground of Gettysburg. He delivered an address that, in just over 2 minutes, redefined the nation's purpose. Lincoln spoke not of victory, but of a new birth of freedom, eloquently framing the devastating conflict as a struggle to fulfill the promise of equality laid out in the Declaration of Independence. The Gettysburg Address became a cornerstone of American identity, a profound plea for unity, and a lasting reminder of the ideals the nation was fighting to preserve. A century later, the battle for America's soul continued. The civil rights movement emerged as a powerful, nonviolent crusade against systemic segregation and racial injustice. At the 1963 March on Washington, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. stood before the Lincoln Memorial and shared his transcendent vision with the world. His "I Have a Dream" speech was a symphony of hope, a powerful call to the conscience of the nation. It painted a picture of an America where individuals would be judged not by the color of their skin but by the content of their character. Dr. King's words became the anthem of the movement, galvanizing millions and paving the way for landmark legislation that would dismantle the legal framework of segregation. From the latter half of the 20th century to today, the pace of change has only accelerated. We witnessed the fall of the Berlin Wall, marking the end of the Cold War and a new global landscape. We experienced the dawn of the digital age, as the internet connected humanity in ways previously unimaginable, transforming communication, commerce, and culture. We faced the shared tragedy of September 11th, a moment that tested the nation's resolve and reshaped its place in the world. And we continue to navigate the complexities of a new millennium, from economic shifts to social reckonings, each moment adding another layer to the intricate American story. From the first ships on the horizon to the glow of a million screens, the American narrative is a continuous journey of becoming. It's a story defined by its pivotal moments of crisis and creativity, of conflict and conscience. This is the chronicle of a nation constantly striving, often stumbling, but always reaching for the ideals upon which it was founded. It is the unfinished, ever-evolving story of America. From the rugged shores of a new world, a new idea took root. In the crucible of colonial America, a spirit of independence was forged, tempered by the belief in liberty and self-governance. This was not just a collection of settlements. It was the genesis of a nation, born from the conviction that all are created equal. The bold strokes of the Declaration of Independence and the thunderous clashes of the American Revolution were not merely acts of rebellion, but the foundational pillars upon which the United States would be built, a republic conceived in liberty and dedicated to a revolutionary proposition. Yet this fledgling nation would soon face its greatest test from within. The very fabric of the Union, woven with compromise, began to unravel under the immense strain of slavery. The promise of liberty for all clashed violently with the reality of bondage for millions. Brother turned against brother in the devastating crucible of the Civil War, a conflict that scarred the land and soul of the nation. Through fields of fire and sacrifice, the Union was painfully preserved, and the chains of slavery were shattered, setting the stage for a long and arduous journey toward true equality and a more perfect Union. As the nation healed its wounds and expanded westward, new storms gathered on the horizon. The Roaring Twenties gave way to the silent despair of the Great Depression, a time of unprecedented economic hardship that saw fortunes vanish and hope dwindle. Breadlines stretched for blocks, and a generation was humbled by dust and destitution. Yet from this turmoil rose a new sense of collective responsibility, embodied by the New Deal. This resilience was soon tested on a global scale. Pulled into the inferno of World War II, America mobilized its might, its factories becoming the arsenal of democracy and its people answering the call to defend freedom against tyranny. Emerging from the ashes of global conflict, the United States stood as a preeminent world power, its influence shaping the post-war world. The decades that followed were a whirlwind of profound change and breathtaking achievement. The long-simmering struggle for racial justice erupted into the civil rights movement. Through sit-ins, boycotts, and impassioned marches led by visionaries like Martin Luther King Jr., brave men and women challenged the conscience of the nation, demanding that it live up to its founding creed. At the same time, America's ambition reached for the heavens. The space race captured the world's imagination, culminating in the historic moment of the moon landing, a giant leap for mankind and a testament to American ingenuity, a symbol of what could be achieved when a nation dared to dream. The dawn of a new millennium brought unforeseen challenges that would once again define the nation's character. The shocking attacks of September 11, 2001, pierced the heart of the country, ushering in an era of new global conflicts, heightened security, and a profound national introspection. These events reshaped American foreign policy and society in ways that continue to unfold. The history of the United States is not a simple linear story, but a complex tapestry of triumph and tragedy, progress and setback. It is the continuous, often turbulent story of a nation striving, stumbling, and evolving. This enduring legacy is a testament to the resilience of its people and the enduring power of the ideals upon which it was founded, a story that is still being written with every passing day.